Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Mumbles and Things YouTube channel. My name is Maggie, and on this channel I react to witchy content or answer your witchy questions. So if that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to this channel and ring the bell so that you're notified every time I post a new video. In this video today, I will be continuing the series that I started where I am reacting to posts from the toxic positivity subreddit. 3-part series, I believe. This is the second part. Without further ado, let's return to the reaction. Okay, let's see what the next screenshot says. From a TikTok I saw, just because it's a rainy day won't dampen my mood. I'm gonna be happy no matter what. If you do not have the same mentality, you are not winning in life. And then the commentary on it is the best way to make your positivity toxic is to put a negative spin on it. Instead of saying what it says, if you do not have the same mentality, you are not winning in life, true positivity would be, if you have this mentality, you're winning in life. This is why I started losing trust for the motivational industry, because they always choose to put a negative twist on positive statements, turning them from true positivity into toxic positivity. And somebody else commented, yeah, there's nothing motivational about that statement at all. It's basically shaming. And I think that's really the root of toxic positivity, that you're shamed for having any sort of negative reaction to something, feeling anger or sadness or guilt or disdain or anything. You're shamed for that and told that you should be positive. So continuing with what they said, so many of these people make it about the results rather than the effort. It's motivational to encourage people to let the little problems roll off their back and try to make the most of a situation, even if they are difficult or disappointing. It's just shitty to say, if any bad feelings creep in, it's because you're choosing to allow them in and act all high and mighty about it. Non-toxic positivity would be, I'm feeling pretty shitty today, but that's okay. I'm gonna take care of myself and do the best I can and try again tomorrow. Bad days happen, and they shouldn't be seen as a failure. And then someone said, you are 100% correct, which I was about to say as well. I agree with that recognizing and acknowledging when bad things happen, when you're having a bad day, when you're feeling a certain way that would be classified as negative, when you are going through something really hard. These things happen. It's part of life. It's part of being human, and acknowledging that and making a commitment to try again or to do better again later, that's much more motivational than just pretending that it's not bad right now or pretending that everything's fine. So another person commented, I feel if someone is being negative sometimes, they need that to move on. You can't force learning and healing. If we are unable to do something or think in a certain way, it's because we haven't learned from what's going on right now. It sounds like mumbo jumbo, but I feel this way because I notice sometimes old quotes and advice makes sense after years. I have healed some other hurt and then I come back to it and learn from it. You can't learn to write paragraphs without learning the alphabet. This is just bullying. Yeah, I if I understand them correctly, the way that it's written is kind of like out of order and without proper like punctuation. But if I understand what they're saying correctly, it's that like you need the negative, you need to be able to feel that because it helps you to move past it. And the more that when you let yourself acknowledge that you're having a bad day or having a bad emotion, then you can learn from that and you can move past it later on. Like you can not wallow in it for so long the next time.
I'm ready to wallow now.
Not that that should be the goal, because sometimes, not every bad day is the same. So the next time it might be harder and you might have to learn something else that time. But it can be helpful to give yourself that opportunity to heal and to learn from it. So the next one is, this is basically a template for toxic positivity. If, insert condition here, you have no right to, insert emotion here. And so someone gave the example, if you're pregnant, you have no right to complain about it or anything related to it. That's one example of toxic positivity, like somebody who is struggling with getting pregnant or anything like that.
If you're lucky enough to be pregnant, then you shouldn't be allowed to complain about it. I struggled to get pregnant, so you're lucky and you have no leg to stand on.
I used to be in a lot of child-free groups when I used to be on Facebook, and people would talk like that like,
you chose to be pregnant, so you can't complain about it.
So that's one example. The same thing for like,
if you're wealthy, you have no right to have problems because all your problems can be solved with money.
And that's not true either. Everybody has problems.
If you have your dream job, you have no right to complain about things because you have the thing that I want. If you own a house, you have no right to complain about it. You have no right to be sad.
All of these different examples, that is the formula for toxic positivity. That
you have something, so you can't be sad about things because other people want that thing and you have it. So just think about how blessed you are and don't be sad about how all these things that you don't have.
That's basically what it's trying to say. The next one is the picture, the graphic says, life is too short to be anything but happy. Bullcrap. Life is too short to be anything but authentic and real about your true emotional state. That is an example of toxic positivity. The life is too short to be anything but happy, aka a mindset which follows the mantra 99% positivity is negativity. Oh, that's a good way to describe toxic positivity. If you're almost all the way positive, you're still negative. And then the person captioned it. I came across this mantra on TikTok. I had to share it here. Correction, life is too short to be anything but authentic and real about your true emotional state. If this is the mindset the majority has toward other emotions that aren't happiness, then ask yourself, are the majority actually happy? I like that. I think that is a really good summing up of what toxic positivity is, and I really like how they described what life really is. Life is too short to be anything but authentic and real about your true emotional state. Like I keep saying, we can experience these emotions for a reason. It's part of the human experience to feel the things that we feel, and suppressing certain emotions because you classify them as negative is suppressing part of your humanity, and I don't think that that's healthy. So the next ones are a series of memes that show how ridiculous some of these toxic positivity phrases are. The first one is,
just focus on the things you can control.
The reason this one's ridiculous is obviously this person could help the person who is like about to get hit by a truck easily. They could get the attention of the truck driver, they could run over and help the person out of the road. But instead, they are offering this phrase, a toxic positivity phrase, that offers no real help to the person. Because obviously the person who's on the ground cannot control the truck. So what can they control? I guess getting up and out of the way, but if they're hurt, they can't. Anyway, it's just an illustration of what toxic positivity looks like and how ridiculous it can be. So now the next one is somebody who's drowning. They need help. There's a person on the dock who could reach in, grab their hand, help them to at least get their head above the water so they can breathe. But instead they're saying,
focus on the positive in this situation.
So like, I guess like they're not too hot because they're underwater. That's what they should focus on, not the fact that they can't breathe. Ridiculous. Someone who is looking at a tombstone and says,
maybe you should make a vision board.
I'm not really, this one I don't have that much to say about, but that's a toxic positivity thing. At the same time, I do think vision boards can be helpful. I don't think that this one is actually toxic positivity.
20 minutes later.
Sorry, my phone died. And then I got a snack. So I'm back though. Anyway, that was like not the same amount of time for you as it was for me. Let's keep going. This one, I don't think it's actually toxic positivity. I mean, in the sense that a lot of people who spout toxic positivity phrases do say,
you should make a vision board.
And this person is saying it to a person who is already deceased. So making a vision board would not be helpful for them. But I do think in some cases, making a vision board, and actually all of these you could say a little bit of what they are. No, this one just particular. I think vision boards can be helpful, so I don't necessarily think this one is toxic positivity, but the way it's being illustrated is. The next one says,
you need to speak goodness into existence.
And somebody has fallen off of a cliff, and the other person is standing on the cliff and just looking down at them without trying to like reach out and help them. I mean, it's a pretty hopeless situation that I don't even know if the person on the cliff would be able to save a person who's fallen off. They could at least try. And speaking goodness into existence is not going to help in pretty much any situation. And then my personal favorite, witch related.
Have you considered taking up yoga?
That one, I don't like it when people say that. I do have a yoga practice, and it does help me, particularly since I have ADHD. I talked about this on my stories the other day, that I have ADHD. Meditation, seated meditation is really a challenge for me because sitting still is a challenge for me, but I can do moving meditations like yoga to still have the clarity in my mind. I still get the benefit of a seated meditation through a moving meditation. So I do think that yoga is beneficial, but the way that some people say it as a solution for every problem, like,
oh, you're depressed? You could do yoga. Have you tried it? Probably would help.
Might, but it's a little bit more complicated than just starting up a yoga practice. But yeah, this one, because there's a woman who's been accused of witchcraft. The thing that's going to save her from burning on a stake is yoga, clearly. Okay, so the next one is one that I alluded to already. It's just the examples of non-toxic and accepting statements that you can use instead of toxic positivity statements. So I'll just read through them. We already talked about the first one.
Don't think about it, stay positive.
Instead, you could say, describe what you're feeling. I'm listening. Much more supportive, gives someone the opportunity to express their feelings and a supportive environment in which to be, supported. The next one.
Don't worry, be happy.
Don't worry, be happy.
Great song, not great advice. I see that you're really stressed. Is there anything I can do? See? They're obviously someone who's worried. Instead of saying, don't worry, say, you look stressed, you look worried. Can I take something off your plate? Is there something that I can help you with?
Failure is not an option.
Instead of saying that, failure is part of growth and success. And I do believe that failure is how we learn. If we don't fail, then we don't learn all the lessons that we need to from the failure. If you just keep succeeding forever and ever and ever, you don't really learn anything from the success. I think there's that overused quote that I don't even know if it actually was Thomas Edison who said it, but it's something like,
I didn't fail, I found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work.
Which of course he's kind of denying the failure involved there, but just looking at it in that way of like, in that failure, I was able to get to the light bulb, the way that did work. And if I didn't have all those other times when I failed, I wouldn't have learned the things I needed to in order to get to the final destination. A toxic positivity is
everything will work out in the end.
We don't know that for sure. It's probably likely that someone's going to get through a hardship, but everything will work out on the end kind of shuts it down, the feelings that someone is having in this moment, and telling them to look to the future where they're not feeling those things. But sometimes we need to be in this moment. In fact, we should always be living in this moment. And so instead you could say, this is really hard, I'm thinking of you, like giving someone the opportunity to be in the hardship in this moment. Saying,
positive vibes only.
This one's like a trigger for me. Like I use it as a hashtag because I do want people who are in the toxic positivity world to see my posts, because I hope that they'll learn from it and see how it is toxic. But every time I type it out, I'm just like, but instead you can say, I'm here for you, both good and bad. It's like the wedding vows, in sickness and in health, I don't know. We didn't use them, so I don't remember them, but they're in like all the movies. You know what I'm talking about. Being there for someone in the good and the bad times. Toxic positivity looks like,
if I can do it, so can you.
We see this in MLMs all the time, that somebody who has succeeded in the MLM says, I can do it and you can too. In that case, that's not true. Somebody who is successful, has made money, has profited from an MLM, they're in the 1% of people who will make money. 99% of people don't make money. That's an aside, but that's a common thing. So that's toxic positivity. Instead say, everyone's stories, abilities, limitations are different, and that's okay. Meaning that just because I was able to do something doesn't mean that everyone is going to be able to. There might be systemic issues, and some people may be able to do things that I will never be able to do. It kind of dismisses the differences between us.
Delete negativity.
I haven't actually heard someone say that, but it's kind of the same thing as like
positive vibes only, focus on the positive. Just forget about that negative stuff.
Non-toxic acceptance and validation would be suffering is part of life, you're not alone. So that's kind of what I've been saying this whole time. Like, the human experience involves hardships and suffering, and because we're all humans, we all experience it in one way or another. There might be different ways that we experience it, there may be different reasons for that experience, but for the most part, everyone's going to have a hardship in their life. Nobody's alone in that, and pretending that it's not going to happen is toxic positivity.
Look for the silver lining.
That phrase, silver lining, reminds me of the Rilo Kiley song.
And I was your silver lining. As the story goes, I was your silver lining. But now I'm gone.
But I don't think that that's toxic positivity. That song is actually more about like non-toxic interactions. But anyway, that's a aside. Instead, say, I see you, I'm here for you.
Everything happens for a reason.
Is toxic positivity something you can say instead? Sometimes we can draw the short straw in life. How can I support you during this hard time? And then finally,
It could be worse.
and that's kind of like that template we were talking about before. If you blank, then you have no right to blank.
Because you have it good in this one way, and there's other people who don't have it good in that one way. You have no right to be sad about it. Anything.
So instead you can say, that sucks, I'm sorry you're going through this. And obviously these can be the accepted and validations. They can be kind of used interchangeably. The point is that instead of saying that someone's experience isn't valid or telling them to not think about it or look at what's going on in their life right now and look to the future or look at other people who have it worse, just acknowledging what they're going through or what you're going through, because you can say these things to yourself and how you could be supported by somebody that you know. That's the point of this. All right, so we're gonna end this second part here for today. So thank you for watching the second part. If you didn't get a chance to watch the first part, go back and watch that one. And I will see you in part 3. Before we go, let me remind you that if you come across content like this that you would like me to react to or you would like to share on this YouTube channel, please send it my way. There are directions for how to do this in the description below. Send that content my way. I'd love to share it. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.